Right now we have 7 supermarkets that control the distribution of 97% of the food in this country.
What happens to a civilization when it outsources its food?
If the power goes off for a week, there'd be riots. I was at a meeting with some farmers recently. There was a few guys that have livestock. Everyone else was an arable farmer. How many of these people eat the food they grow? The answer was 0.
Hello, I'm here with Greg. He's a farmer in Suffolk. He uses no chemicals. He farms 4 acres, no supermarkets. He sells directly to the customer.
When you look around, you've got wheat, weed killer. My question is, are you going to do that in 100 years? Will it be viable? Just think about that. The odds are no. That crop there, it's a cover crop. That's how I build soil health and fertility. It's cereal rye. Cereal rye is an accidental crop because it looks very similar to wheat and barley. In the olden days, when it was all hand weeded, they'd pull everything out, but accidentally miss the rye. Generations later, it had evolved to get closer and closer to the wheat crop because the farmer didn't see when they were picking it out, and eventually it ended up as a crop all on its own. With Roundup, the same thing's happening, only you're not going to eat black grass. And you're not going to eat any of the weeds. You're not creating a new crop. You're just creating things that don't die to the chemicals. Nature evolves, and it will win. It's in Jurassic Park, we all grew up with that. Nature will find a way. And it's even getting resistant to that stuff. Why are you using something that's not gonna work anyway? The goal should be, can I produce food forever using the systems that I'm using? Just on a purely practical level. No ideological stuff involved at all. Even forget the environment. If you don't care about people's health and the environment, fine, but you won't be able to produce food. And that's what you want to do.
Your descendants won't be able to make money.
Precisely. And we know it's bad, but it's like the whole thing with cigarettes. I used to smoke and I didn't care. I knew it was bad. And you keep doing it. Why? Dumb, isn't it? You can't tell people something's bad. It's not going to happen. So that's where this little 4 acres comes in. Having bare ground in winter is not good for the soil. There's a lot of microbes in there that are exposed to the elements. We've taken a lot out in the summer in food. They go away, and unfortunately human poo is now not really usable. It's full of other things that shouldn't be there. The ideal situation would be, we live here, we eat the food, we poo on the compost heap with the animal manure, and we put it back on the field. You can't use it in an organic setting. This doesn't replace minerals because the minerals go out with poo. So we always need to import something to the farm. You'll hear people saying permaculture and all this sort of stuff. Cool, if you don't sell things, and I do. This crop here replaces the carbon and the nitrogen. The carbon, we're doing more than replacing, we're building it up. It's called a green manure. Underneath, there's loads of roots mining the soil, improving the structure of it, which allows for drainage, it allows for better root contact when you put your crops in, feeding the worms, all the microbes, all that stuff, protecting them from the weather. By default, farming should just sequester carbon. A longer term goal would be to have some long-term pastures with livestock on because you're pulling more carbon out of the air. It's complicated. You've got people on the ground, farmers going, well, I can raise the organic matter levels in my soil, which is carbon, if I include livestock. And then you've got some other people saying livestock are the cause of climate change. Now, there is a caveat in that. What those scientists are talking about are feedlots, which are gross, disgusting. If you leave it bare ground, like a lot of people do, you're just throwing money away. But whilst nitrogen's cheap, who cares? It's getting more and more expensive. So you might see things like this come on as a default. I think there's probably a place for synthetic fertilizers, but just not, it shouldn't be the default. Focus on a diverse cropping for a start where you can incorporate cover crops. Because in an ideal world, I could take animals across this and it would save me taking a tractor over it and topping it. They could eat it, kill it. I'm not burning diesel, we're getting food. So there's a way of tying it in. As of 2022, this country makes 0 nitrogen fertilizer. It's all imported, 100%. Pretty sketchy.
There's no independence there at all.
No, you can be really cynical of conventional farming, but it feeds a lot of people. We still need that much food, but we need it in a way that also isn't gonna kill everything.
We had the problem, we had to feed the world, but now we need to nourish the world.
Yeah, exactly. The premise of this agroforestry is to increase biodiversity and pay for it through the sale of food. To provoke change in that direction, I don't think you can subsidise it because governments change, but if you're focused on food, everyone eats. There's subsidies at the moment for field margins, and there's been in the news a bit, people, they might drop that. And there's a lot of farmers like, oh, well, you know, we'll plough our field margins up then. I've never had those subsidies available. I pay for the field margins by having fruit trees on. And effectively, this 4 acre field has far larger area of field margin, i.e. habitat, than that 6 acre field right there. I've seen a lot fewer pests here than I used to. And it's just finding a way of paying for it. You do have to think that way. It's got to pay.
As soon as you try and do it in the organic space, no, you're not allowed to profit from
And
being good.
nature-friendly farming, for some reason, has to be paid for by someone else. All this stuff, cover crops, etc. This is maintenance of the soil, basic maintenance. The fact that people won't do it unless they're paid to do it is a bit like paying a kid to tidy their bedroom. This is your factory. This is how you make money. Look after it. Farmers grow food, but they sort of don't, because you're selling to commodity markets. If you're going to plan a farm, plan it around a dinner plate. How much of that can I produce? If you're producing that, it opens the door to everyone as a customer. It opens the door for more biodiversity. You could have long-term pastures, which could be in a rotation with an arable crop, and you've got the fertility. So you reduce the inputs. You might still need a bit of artificial fertilizer, but not as much. Your margins go up. I was at a meeting with some farmers. How many of these people eat the food they grow? The answer was 0.
It's insane.
It's fucking nuts.
If you took someone from 200 years ago and brought them into the room, they'd be like, what are you doing?
Do you go to the shops to buy your food? You're a farmer. Last year was really hot and dry. Wheat did very bad, and everyone's drilled wheat again. You're always going to need wheat, but if it's all of your farm and then it does badly, oh, the wheat's done badly this year, but it's only 10% of the farm, it's not 90% of it. You're suddenly building in resilience. And the good thing with that idea is it's very decentralized.
It would create a much happier farmer if he's providing for his community.
I think I'm happy because I deliver stuff to people and they tell me it's good and they like it. And you sell stuff to people that probably don't know your name, probably don't give a shit if you don't sell anything to them. Whereas my customers would notice. We had a contamination here a couple of years ago, and I told all my customers, and the support I got was overwhelming. You get that meaning behind it. That's partly why a lot of farmers are so sad. The mechanism for feeling appreciated is the payment, and the payment at the moment is shit. Now, if the payment was shit and you were getting a thank you and, well, we need you, we support you, then you're halfway there. But it's all missing now. This landscape, if you went back 100 years, there'd be people everywhere. I wave at my neighbour as he drives past in his tractor a couple of times a year. Profitability of farming, it has to have a surplus, because otherwise you're just hunter-gatherers. But the reason farming has become the way is because it allows other people to do other things, and then that other people can invent phones and airplanes because they're not spending their time dealing with food.
Do you think maybe there needs to be a balance between the two?
Yeah, I would on agroforestry. We can use it as a means to bring more people back onto farms. You provide meaningful work for people all year. If you knew the farmer that produced food, would you throw as much away? You'd be connected to it. We've lost meaning behind food. Feedlots and factory farming, this is commodities. You're not thinking about dinner, you're thinking about, I need a margin on this. I want to see farms independent. Go back to that dinner plate. If you're producing that, then your customers are everybody. We can hold the government accountable for their actions if we have our own food. The more farms that are independent, the better. And right now we have, 7 supermarkets that control the distribution of 97% of the food in this country. And it's so good right now because with the internet, it provides the means for everyone to be independent. 5 years ago, if I said a lot of this stuff to some of my neighbours, they would scoff. My business is doing fine, and I'm really happy, and I'm able to invest, and I'm confident. But you only get to that point if you're independent. Do it yourself. Let's go sow some seeds, and then I think it's going to rain. It feels cold. I do all the picking and pack anything into bags that is needed. We both turn up the next day, take a van each, deliver them. That's it. I came into farming with the idea of you grow things and you sell them. It seems to me that a lot of people don't really do that. You can choose to go down the grant system or the subsidy system, or you can just choose to try and make money.
If the global food system collapsed tomorrow, who would actually be okay?
I came into this a little bit out of fear. If I can control food, and I have food, then I'm okay. We've got to a point where most people can't feed themselves.
Even people with gardens, they grow flowers, they don't want to grow veg.
Someone came by selling photographs, aerial photos from the 70s. Every garden was full of vegetables.
There you go.
Now none.
What can 4 acres teach the world that 4,000 acres can't? Do you want me to do some of these as well?
Yeah, you can do. I'm not the same person that arrived here 6 years ago, and I kind of hope that the farm has also some way learned something as well. This farm carries a lot more weight than it would appear. I think people underestimate themselves. If you apply yourself, you actually go for something. That's the advantage that 4 acres has over 4,000, because you have a story to tell. You don't have the advantage of all the wealth and resources. You try and start with 4 acres then. The pauper who somehow manages to do something. There's a lesson. You don't need anything to start. You just need to start.
It's almost like the land becomes more of a being.
I am in a position now where using the tools of selling things, I can gain access to land. If you have 4 acres and your neighbour has 4,000, you're the lucky one. You are the underdog. You are free to do new things. Whereas 4,000 acres, it is a burden. We can be creative and work hard and do the right things. I haven't done anything weird and exceptional. People should have the opportunity, not necessarily, that doesn't mean success. And having 4 acres is success. Me being given this farm and a rental thing, there's an opportunity. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. Perhaps it's a bit like food. Why do people not respect their food more and eat healthy? Is it because it's not earned in the same way? If it required more effort to get it, you wouldn't throw it away. You wouldn't eat shit, empty calories. I've got to make this count. I really like having a phone, and I like having heating and electricity. If everyone's farming, those things don't exist. I'm happy to farm so that some geek can sit there and breed plants that will make better crops for me.
Could you survive if you sold to supermarkets instead of direct to customers?
No, that's why I sell direct. Firstly, they don't want what I grow because I can't offer them the volume. They want to buy 10,000 or more. The price isn't going to be very good. They may or may not tie me up in some contract. You can see how it happens. I use the strawberries as an example. They're a very stressful crop because they're ready and they need to be sold within 24 hours. High stress. If someone came along and said, oh, don't worry, I'll take all of them. Whatever you can grow, I'll take them all. There's the comfort thing. You'd be like, oh yeah, that's good. I'll do that. That's the supermarket. They might go, oh, well, you know, we're loving these. Do you want to grow some more? And, oh yeah, okay. I'll take out that crop and I'll specialise. Sign a contract. I'll specialise in strawberries for you. 10 years later, it's like, we're paying you too much. Drop the price a bit. Quality. We want to make sure they're all exactly the same size and shape. And there's all these demands that come on you and you have no way out.
And suddenly you're not your own boss anymore. You're an employee.
Pretty much, yeah. You're sort of like a franchise farmer in a weird way. You're in a trap. I couldn't afford that. I don't want to do that either.
Who really makes money in food?
It's probably not the farmers.
I'm used to sitting in a massive tractor with an 80-foot bar. I love working outdoors. I love working with nature. This is how life's supposed to be lived. We're supposed to look at nature all day. Why am I in an air-compressed, conditioned cab, still disconnected from nature, still just looking at nature, but not really working with nature, kind of working against it? What does your daily diet actually look like?
A lot of dairy products. What else do I eat? I eat a lot of veg, plenty of meat, eat a lot of eggs. And, you know, I love cookies and baked goods as much as anyone else.
Do you try and go for sort of a home-baked thing rather than, or do you just go for the shop?
Well, exactly. I mean, I'm not a perfect person. Like, if you put a packet of hobnobs in front of me, I'm going to fucking eat them, aren't I? Whereas if you look at food as this is fuel and nourishment, then suddenly you prefer to eat healthy food.
Has this lifestyle changed your body or your mind or more?
It has taught me a lot of responsibility. This is me, that gives me power. Okay, it's not my fault that we had this contamination, but I'm going to fix it.
If you could change one thing about the modern world tomorrow, what would it be?
I think how people interact with food. If people had access to the stories behind their food, there was meaning attached to it again. That interaction with food is important.
Take away the noise, that's all we really need to be able to do, isn't it? Eat good food, get good water.
People ask the question, who are you? But like, what about what are you? You're just food and water.
When you walk these fields alone, what do you feel?
There's a certain feeling of love about it, but I think it depends on the time of day and time of year, because there'll also be a deep anxiety at certain points. It's the most rewarding and stressful and horrible and exciting and lovely and disastrous thing you'll ever do is tie yourself to a piece of land. But isn't that just the point?
That's kind of how we're designed to live. Not fake threats, but real angst of, if this goes wrong, this is my livelihood.
It's really nice to see. There are times walking around early morning or in the night, in the evening, when it's just calm and home, and there's the certain amount of fight to get there. I don't think you can feel that feeling of love and calm without a little bit of turmoil.
I hope one day, instead of chasing money, we chase views like this.